We live in the world where communication through the internet have become our everyday lives. However, it may be hard to believe, but there are still large areas in the world where there is no access to the internet or where it works like it's not really there. And this digital divide is becoming more and more painful for people who don't have internet access. In this video, I would like to discuss this problem and tell you how it can be solved. So, without further ado, let's get started. In order to understand the topic a bit better, we should first start from some facts about the issue. According to the International Telecommunication Union, 2.9 billion people have never used the internet. This means that over a third of the world's population is still offline. Since you are watching this video, I assume that the access to the internet is pretty natural and obvious for you. So now, try to imagine that every third member of your family, your friend, your classmate, or your work colleague have never opened any website. It sounds pretty unrealistic, doesn't it? In addition, out of those 2.9 billion people who never use the internet, around 95% come from the developing countries. And trust me, people who are digitally excluded are greatly aware of all of their lost opportunities. They believe that the access to the internet may improve their contacts with friends and family, make life easier, and open up better chances for education. Moreover, they think that thanks to the internet, they might get better jobs and have better and faster access to diverse social benefits. And if you think about it, it is actually true that we have access to all of those things thanks to the internet, don't we? Well, exactly. Additionally, the accelerating digitization, which is a result of pandemic, makes internet one of the basic goods, and it may be soon classified as a basic human right. Okay, so we know how important is the internet, but what exactly is causing the lack of its access? The reasons are mostly due to the high costs and the availability of the broadband connection. As you know, many people in poor countries live in informal settlements or in slums that are not equipped with even a basic digital infrastructure. They work in an informal economy, earning a salary that only allows them to survive overnight. And because of that, they simply cannot afford the cost of the streamings. The second reason is the lack of availability. In order to access the internet, people need to have some kind of wired, wireless, or satellite connection. However, there is still plenty of people worldwide who have only access to 2G network, which covers only the basic connectivity, and therefore not allow them to even acknowledge what are the basic advantages of the internet. Now, I want you to understand the situation of people from developing countries. Imagine that you speak a language that is known only in your small community. Suddenly, you have a possibility of using an internet. You open your first page and, surprise, surprise, it is in English. Would you still surf the web even though you don't understand a single word? Well, of course not. This is another problem. The great majority of the information on the internet is in English. We can also find plenty of pages in other broadly known languages, such as French, Spanish, German, or Chinese. But it is very unlikely to see multiple websites in less common languages. And for this reason, many people can use only a small piece of the internet. Moreover, there is still more than 7.5 million people worldwide who are illiterate, which makes it impossible for them to use the internet. Lastly, the disharmony between the city and the countryside remains a huge challenge. It is estimated that in developing countries, people living in urban areas use the internet twice as often as people living in the countrysides. Okay, now let's discuss the consequences of lack of internet access. First of all, the internet users have access to quick information from all over the world. And it's not just about educational function. The rapid transfer of knowledge allows for quick searches for missing people and warning of dangers. It can be also useful, for example, for global fundraising for good causes. This was the case in 2010, when Red Cross raised millions of dollars for the victims of Haiti earthquake. And because of that, it makes it impossible to compete in the modern economy without the access to the internet. It also increases the government's ability to control their citizens by restricting the access to the information. As a result, the digital gap deepens the inequalities that divide countries and communities. So, simply put, the lack of internet access robs the next generation from their future and isolates them from the world. But we should also remember that the digital gap is not only limited to developing or poor countries. It also affects a significant part of the citizens of developed countries. This was especially seen during the pandemic, when the situation became even worse. At that time, the digitization of many spheres of life has become a discriminating factor. During a pandemic, it became difficult or even impossible to access the majority of goods, social benefits, or basic education. And this has increased and is still affecting the social exclusion. Just try to imagine how many children have stopped obtaining the education during COVID-19 due to the lack of computers or internet access. However, not to be only negative, it should be also mentioned that the pandemic helped to achieve a greater access to the internet. In 2020, we saw the greatest increase in the internet users in the last 10 years. Some of the factors that contributed to that were the closings of schools and administrative buildings. Those led to the online education, development of e-commerce, and the increased demand for digital government services. As we can see now, in today's world, having the internet connection is crucial to have an access to the most important information. So, what should be done to provide the internet access to more people? Well, the perfect solution would be a widely available and free internet. Access to the network, financed from the state budget, is a huge expense. But if it is to be the basic human right, it cannot be available only for those who can afford it. Additionally, many actions that may help to increase the overall access to the internet are related to the economic development goals. This would include, for example, providing access to the sources of stable and sustainable energy at affordable prices for all. At the same time, countries should be promoting a stable economic growth and a decent work for all people. By doing so, the energy would become more affordable for people, and they would be able to cover the costs of streamings. Moreover, the governments should strive to build a stable infrastructure by, for example, promoting a sustainable industrialization and innovation. Finally, the developed countries should strengthen the global partnerships for sustainable development. This way, they would be able to help the developing countries and affect their situation positively. As we can see, there is plenty of solutions that can be implemented by the governments. Now, let's discuss how we can contribute to this cause. The first and most important thing that you can do is to check if some person within your community is digitally excluded, since this may actually happen more often than you think. In some families, there may be only one computer that has to be shared both by the parents and couple of kids. This will make it impossible for children, for example, to participate in the online classes. You can therefore offer your help and invite them to use your computer when you are not using it. Moreover, you can search on your own if there are any cafes or libraries with the free internet access, and suggest the use of those. And I know that those are really small things, but who knows, maybe this way you will actually help somebody. To end this video, I would like to thank you so much for watching it. I hope that thanks to this video, you have learned that the internet access is not as obvious for many people as it may seem for us. And maybe next time, when you open your computer to search for some funny YouTube video, you will take a moment to appreciate all of the opportunities that you have thanks to the internet. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like or a comment. Also, feel free to subscribe to my channel to learn more about various global issues. And before I end this video, I would like to invite you to watch my previous video, where I discussed the problem with hunger around the world. I wish you all a lovely day. See you in the next video. Bye bye!